Welcome back to Dare to Date Me. We have an incredible podcast scheduled for you today with our returning guest, Maria Lynette. Maria, welcome back.
Thank you.
For those of you who have not met Maria or watched any of our previous episodes with Maria on there, she's a certified coach for both life and dating. They kind of go hand in hand, don't you think?
They do.
All right. You're also the creator of the dating alignment method, which we'll continue to touch on through our podcast episodes. Using clarity, confidence, connections, starting on the inside to develop those strong connections that you need to have an ongoing relationship. So today, you're here to talk with us today about chasing validation. What does that look like?
It's one of the biggest challenges, I'd say, in modern dating today. And I would say that it's really, people aren't aware that they're doing it because they tend to think it should be something very overt. But it's very subtle at times. But basically, it all stems from childhood, if we're really honest. When you think about
in that case, we're in trouble.
I know. I'm just kind of wondering, what are we validating?
I'd say everything, blame it on your parents. No.
All right. Well, I'm sure all of my children are in complete agreement with that.
I mean, if you think about it, growing up, we are trained to perform for validation. Be a good girl, make good grades in school, seek success in life.
Sure.
So it's what we do that gets the praise, our performance that gets the praise, rather than about who we are. Getting the validation based on who we really are. And that it gets even deeper once you get into a marriage and now you're in a relationship and things begin to go south and you're being ignored. Your values, your feelings, your needs are all being ignored. You begin to think that you're not good enough.
Sure.
And so you end up getting divorced and now you're just seeking anything and everything to validate your worth and who you are.
So that leads me into my next question and thought. Why does self-validation in dating, not in a relationship, but in dating, feel so addictive?
It's because of the hormones that it releases in your body, right? When someone, if you think about it, you even do this with your friends, right? You have this idea or thought and you want to talk to your friend about it and get their approval or yeah, you're right, that's a great idea, rather than really feeling confident in yourself. So when someone else is on board with you or agrees with you or validates your physical appearance or anything like that, it becomes addictive because of the chemicals that it releases in your body.
Okay, I can go with that. How do we prepare ourselves as women and as men to get past that hurdle that we put on ourselves?
Honestly, this is something that requires looking in. Like, instead of seeking a man to choose you, you need to first choose yourself. Okay. Instead of looking for him to validate you, validate yourself. This is one of the things that I do with my clients. I teach them to develop a habit where every single day they're really reprogramming their mindset.
Sure.
The negative thoughts that we have going on in our minds about us not being good enough. Reprogram those thoughts with the positive thoughts. Remind yourself, write down the things that you've already accomplished in life. Write down your character, who you are, good things that you're doing. Use that time as permission to brag on yourself so that you can remember who you really are at the core.
Well, talking about bringing it into the inner core, is there a hidden cost of letting others define your self-worth?
The number one hidden cost is you abandon yourself. You abandon yourself for someone else.
Right.
You put in wasted time and energy into relationships that are never going to go anywhere. For what? For good morning text, for late night text, for situationships that don't go anywhere.
Friends with bennies?
Yeah.
So you're basically saying that, as far as understanding it in a more simplistic way, you're not going to be able to bring any value to somebody else unless you bring value to yourself first, because you have to be able to accept who you are. How is anybody else going to accept who you are?
Absolutely. And not only that, but that needs to be the mindset of your partner too.
Right.
If your partner doesn't value themselves, they're not going to be able to value you.
Right.
They don't.
Because
They're looking for the validation.
They're going to
for
undermine your
themselves.
value because
Exactly.
they can't come up with their own value.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
how do we spot those signs? How do we dig deep enough within ourselves to notice the signs, whether they're presented from within or they're presented externally to us?
You know, I actually wrote down some bullet points on this because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss these key points, because there's several of them. I want to talk about what it looks like before you
Sure.
match, right? So really trying to perfect your dating bio, changing out your pictures multiple times, trying to find the best shot, right? Even your message in your bio, constantly wanting to make sure that the wording is correct, that it's, just over analyzing things. Scrolling to be seen, not even when you're not interested, you're going to the apps just to get the validation, just to find someone that'll start a conversation with you. Feeling low when you don't receive messages.
Right.
You're that is like a signal to you that you're that just over analyzing, like I'm not getting the messages. Comparing yourself to other women. This is a big one. This is so huge. Putting off dating until you lose weight, or until you have your finances together, or until you're this or that. But putting things off because of those external things
Sure.
that are validating.
Well,
Go ahead.
That's something that, you can touch on as women. We think, I'm too skinny, I'm too fat, I'm too this, I'm too that, right? My hair's not the right color, it's too gray, I don't want it. Like,
Right.
how do we put all of that back in to be comfortable within ourselves?
Yeah.
And how do we put all of that back in to finding the person that's going to, accept us for who we are and what we are? I mean, I've changed a lot in the last 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? I've
Yeah.
had these great changes internally and externally.
Yeah.
And I've always been confident no matter what my weight's been, no matter what my hair color's been. I've always just been me. I
Yeah.
put myself out there, and I honestly, that's who I am. You get to see the real me.
Yeah.
So how do we get past all of that, and how do we say it's okay?
Yeah. And listen, I'm not against doing, losing weight and bettering yourself. That's what really this is
Right.
all about, right? I'm not against doing personal things to make yourself look better or whatever, but those things need to be because it's what you want to do, not because you're trying to do that to impress or to perform.
Right.
And it's really loving yourself.
It's getting away from that desperation of having to feel like you are validated only if you are with somebody else, and really truly loving yourself and being happy with the person that you are, because how is somebody else going to actually give you any sort of quality in your life if you're not giving your own self the quality that you need and appreciate for being who you are? And there's nothing wrong with, bragging about yourself or being good about yourself, because you're only going to get good if you're good.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and this is really the key when it comes to attracting a quality partner, because the problem is that when you stay in this mode of seeking validation, you're developing a pattern that becomes familiar. It's a habit that you develop.
Right.
And you become unaware of it. So then you begin attracting partners that aren't healthy. The only way that you're going to attract a high quality partner, someone that does see your value, is when you do invest in yourself
Right.
and you really see the value in yourself.
Right.
That's how you change the pattern, right?
Well, I've been able to change the pattern after about 3 dates. So I think I've become really good at spotting that pattern now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the first date, everything's so perfect. They're just wonderful. You had such a great time. Then the second date, they break down a little bit more. And the third date, you're like, this isn't going to work for me.
Yeah.
And I am so good with saying that now, where before I think women get into that part, well, he's still interested. He still wants to be here. He still wants to be engaged in my life. But then you're like, but do I want him engaged in my
Yes,
life?
yes.
And I think that's where the empowerment we need to take back, both men and women.
Yeah.
Because I don't want someone sitting on my couch just to sit on my couch next to me to say I have someone there.
Yeah.
I want someone who's going to be there for all the right reasons.
Yes. And this is, you bring up a key point about how many dates it takes. Slow down. That's my biggest advice to people, is to slow down. Why? And this is what I tell my clients all the time. How employers have the 90-day rule before you get benefits, okay?
Yeah.
90 days to get to know someone. I say it every single time.
It's not just a good idea that someone pulled out of a hat. There's research behind that because we all wear a mask. We all do in some form. We're wanting to present our best at first. You know, we don't want to come out and actually. If you're oversharing, and that's another sign of seeking validation is that you're just, you know. Yep. So we really take the 90 days, not because 90 days is the golden rule, but because it does give you that time to pace yourself to really see who a person is.
Because hiding all those things and trying to be that best person, like you're saying, and putting on that show can get exhausting.
It is
and
exhausting.
They're going to start to slip up, and you're going to be able to start to see that. But in the same token, you can't keep making excuses for them either.
Yes.
You have to be able to say, yeah, these are the red flags. These are the things I don't need. I need to start moving forward or make a decision before it gets too deep for myself.
Yeah.
And not say making excuse after excuse, because then you're going to keep going for that wrong person again.
Yeah. Even in a relationship, like, you know, we talked about what it looks like before, but even when you're in the relationship, it's like, you know, you're immediately texting back, even when you're busy, like you're just overanalyzing everything that they're doing. You're catering to them. You know, it's all about they are the win rather than you are the win. Like even getting the match. Yeah.
So, I've taken that empowerment back, and I've listened to your podcasts. I've rocked through them, and it's empowering to understand that you are thinking the right way, and that you will eventually find the person that will walk that pathway with you.
Yes.
So tell us the exciting news that you have coming up, and also the incredible offer that you offer any of the Dare to Date podcast listeners.
Well, first of all, let me share that anyone listening to this podcast, I offer them they reach out to me. First of all, find me on Facebook under Marla and Lynette. You join one of my groups. I have a co-ed group and a women's group. You can send me a DM that says you saw this episode or that you saw this on Dare to Date Me, and I give you a 15-minute free clarity call for me to get clear about what your goals are and that we're in alignment to work together. And if we are, then I offer you a 90-minute session for free. So that's always standing. Anyone who's listening into these calls always can receive that. But we have a really exciting retreat coming up in September. It's from the 12th to the 14th out in Overgard, Arizona. In a 3-story cabin. It's over like 7,000 square feet home. It's got like 14 different spots for people.
Women only?
Women only.
All right.
For this year.
Sorry, guys. No co-ed, no sleepovers. All right. I can see where you're going with this.
But next year's my plan.
Next year's the co-ed.
Next year's going to be co-ed.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I think we might need to have a Confession Corner live taping at this next retreat. So.
It's going to be fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. As always, sharing your wisdom with us today is incredible. For those of you, again, reach out on various social media platforms. I will have everything tagged to the Dare to Date Me podcast page on Facebook, on YouTube, and on all the platforms that we are currently engaging with. So again, Maria, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It was always
Thanks for
great to
having
see you
me.
in studio.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.